Hey, welcome to your regular scheduled Thursday uranium stock analysis and not a Wednesday one like yesterday. But that's gonna make the video age really bad, doesn't matter. Hey, my name is Tucker Krause, welcome to my channel. Today we're gonna be looking at Forsys Metals. Before we do anything else, smash that like button. Now, let's get right into the video. And hopefully by the time you're seeing this, uranium is pulled back so I can actually buy some, because I missed the boat on SPUT. So let's go right into it. Alright, so as I just said, we have Forsys Metals trading with the ticker symbol FSY on the Toronto Stock Exchange and FOSYF on over-the-counter exchanges. They're currently trading at 78 cents per share with a market cap of $150 million. Now, price per pound, I'm very impressed by. It's at only $1.20 per pound, and that is the second lowest of the stocks I've analyzed. The one that beat out GoVX was way before that big run-up with SPUT, and a lot of the ones that got close, like Global Atomic, were also before the big run-up with SPUT. So, very impressive here. Since SPUT, I was, of course, not expecting it to go this hard and this fast. I was expecting to help, but not crazy like this, you know? So it's good to see that this one could still be a decent deal even with this massive run up, right? Because on the 6-month stock chart, we can see here that it's basically retraced all of the gains from the retraced all of the losses from the last pullback, though it is kind of playing with this resistance line along here. Though in the long term, still quite a long ways to go. Just going over some slides from the presentation. Here's something to note is this presentation is their newest one. It's all the way back from Q1 of 2018. So do keep that in mind as we read through this. So I've said a couple times that I really like the jurisdiction of Namibia, and so this kind of just goes over some of that pro-business. It's a stable democracy, especially relative to some of the other countries in Africa, and it's the 5th largest global producer of uranium, and 11.5% of GDP is derived from mining, and they export a whole ton of metals. They've got an actually reasonable tax code, all that good stuff. As you can see here, they are 35 kilometers away from Rio Tinto's, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, but I did look that up. Apparently that is the longest running uranium mine ever, so I would say that's definitely a good sign for Forsys here. And they do also have Paladin's mine just a little bit to the south here, as well as other surrounding towns. Now, I don't know if this is still top 10 because it's from 2018, but they do have semi-permanent village, and they've got they've got all water supply, power supply. They have a lot of their infrastructure already set up. They've also got all of their permits and whatnot ready, and they do also have a definitive feasibility study, not just a preliminary economic analysis. So they're pretty much ready to go once uranium price demands it. Capital structure, I'm not sure how accurate this is again because it's older, and I did check from Q3 2021 financials that fully diluted it was at about 170 million shares rather than 160 million, though fairly consistent going back the past 2 years, which is good to see. And there is no info on current ownership though, and because I'm not a big fan that insider is only 1%, I like to see that at least like 5%. But the other thing is that 160 or 170 million shares outstanding relative to their market cap, even in its run 150. Good to see their actually shares aren't too diluted. Oh my god, that looks beautiful. $20 million market cap. Could have 10x my money by now. But also note there were no CEO interviews on YouTube. Of course, this presentation old. Their most recent fact sheet was from like June of 2020, along with a bit of an inconsistently styled website. Though I think that's because, as far as I can tell, the staff is very small. So of course, working on the mine is the main priority, so it's forgivable. Though I would like to see some CEO interviews and that kind of thing to learn a bit more and see what I think of the CEO beyond a biography on the website. Alright, so looking at their main uranium projects here, we have Narasa, probably mispronounced that, and as I noted earlier, just looking at some of the presentation slides, 35 kilometers away from that massive Rio Tinto-owned mine, and it was actually discovered back in 1928. And again, it's in Namibia, which is a good thing, though of course that tax rate is pretty high at 37.5%, at least the corporate tax rate, and then it is at least giving the company a 3-year tax haven, so that does make up for that a little bit. And yes, this says 126 million pounds here. That is saying measured plus indicated plus inferred, not proven plus probable, because on their website they list proven plus probable is only about 90 million pounds, but I prefer M plus I. And here they do only plan to produce 77.8 million pounds according to their definitive feasibility study. I'm not sure what's going on with that, or if they have a phase 2 or something like that. I'm not sure, but we can see there's a 3% royalty, an extremely low grade of only about 200 parts per million, or because I have both both these just because this parts per 100 grade is so minuscule. And so we can then go on. The capex is quite high at 572 million and 432 million up front. That might be the second most I've looked at after fission. I would have to double check though. And the OPEX is also moderately at $34.72 dollars per pound. And so that's not horrendous, but that's also not amazing. So that plans to be under construction for 2 years and is going to produce for 15 years. They have no exact timeline, but because, let's just zoom out here, they already have a DFS complete. It is so much further ahead than if the company just had a PEA or PFS, but their Q3 MD&A states that they have done some development work, but have mainly been waiting on spot price increases to continue. So the DCF will just place construction in 2022 to 2023 and operational by 2024. They do also own an old exploration gold project. It has about 500 kiloounces of gold with a high grade of 8.5 grams per ton. And so these are mineral estimates from historical drilling from the 1980s. So take with that what you will. We're not going to be factored in the DCF. This is just the other property I own. Might just throw it in there. Alright, so we have the discounted free cash flow fair value for Forsys pulled up here, and we could see that at current uranium pricing at $60 uranium price, not good. But if we then look at $80 uranium price, then it's actually pretty good, 178% upside. Keep in mind, these are conservative numbers because I use a 10% discount rate and 50% capex and OPEX inflation, so that makes it more conservative. And if I wasn't adding in that inflation, use a typical 8%, of course these numbers would all be higher. Now the other thing is the valuation of the stocks have increased significantly since SPUT. So just to compare it to the other stocks that I looked at pre-SPUT, I want to see what this price was pre-SPUT. About 60 cents. Alright, so if we punch that in here, we see about a 262% upside. The other companies like that pre-SPUT were at about 300% or so upside. So not quite as good, but still pretty decent. So it could be worth it to wait to see if it pulls back a little bit. That's completely up to you because do your own research. This is not financial advice, but just interesting to look at. They're currently also priced at $70 uranium using these more conservative estimates. All in all, these guys, from my research at least, look very similar to GoviEx Uranium, which it honestly might be my favorite of the stocks I've looked at so far, just with higher capex and a little bit lower pounds in the ground. But still, right, with the being in Africa, the very good price per pound ratio, all those kind of things with the smaller market cap, all that kind of stuff. Though, and Forsys could be a good spot for me to settle on because GoviEx I can't get because it's low 50 cents and my brokerage is dumb. So without further ado, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Oh, the other quick thing is that there is actually some even more upside to Forsys since their DFS actually only listed they would be producing about 78 million pounds, and so there's still tens of millions of pounds still left in the ground, so there's also that additional upside there.